Clucas Palacia welcomes her twin grandsons, Mac and Bodhi, to her house in Melbourne a couple of times a week.
Inside.
This isn't just a social visit, this is childcare.
What are you going to do? Go!
I'll just keep feeding them all day.
Like thousands of grandparents around Australia, Diana helps out her daughter Mei-Ling because paying for formal childcare is so expensive.
If Mei-Ling didn't have me, I dread to think how she couldn't make it with on one wage, and I keep thinking about how dear is it. In our days, we didn't have any of that. We didn't have to pay.
They are so exhausting, but it is so rewarding. It's double the love, double the kisses, double the hugs, double the laughs.
Mei-Ling Egan and her husband Adrian also send their boys to daycare a couple of days a week. Adrian's a tradie, and while Mei-Ling is taking a break from her career as a sales manager, she's doing Adrian's books and volunteering. Now the boys are 2.5, she's looking at going back to paid work and doing the sums on childcare.
The quotes were varying anywhere between $120 to $135 per day per child, and we're up to about $64,000. And we worked out the sums that was basically your wage.
It was, yeah.
And we were like, this is just insane.
Good job.
The couple is closely watching the election campaign. Mei-Ling's mostly voted Liberal in the past, and Adrian, who's a member of the CFMEU, is a Labor voter.
For us, childcare is the biggest topic of conversation for our family. It is a policy that we would definitely vote for.
There'd be no
election.
Hands down.
Hands down. It's definitely the biggest issue for us.
It's families like the Egans Labor is hoping to win over with its early education policy, a $4 billion promise to cut childcare costs.
We want to significantly increase the amount of subsidy that families get for childcare. So we see this as really a cost of living measure that really supports families with what is becoming increasingly difficult childcare costs to manage.
The Coalition's not bringing a new childcare policy to the election. It's campaigning on the major changes it brought in last year, streamlining subsidies into a single means-tested payment, which made childcare cheaper for nearly 1 million families.
We've got record funding for childcare, $8.6 billion. The reforms that we introduced last year, which have seen an 8.6% reduction in the gap that parents have to pay.
Here's how much families would pay under each party's policy with a daily childcare fee of $143. Under Labor, low-income families would pay nothing. Under the Coalition, up to $21 a day. In the next income bracket, where most families fall, under Labor it's up to $21 a day and the Coalition up to $37. And for households earning up to $174,000, the point up to which the parties differ, it's a maximum of $57 versus $72.
That sounds fantastic. So Labor's policy would probably be in the second tier bracket of that. It'd give us more breathing room, I dare say, with having a little bit more money in the bank.
And I'd like to go back to work.
But it's the second plank of Labor's policy that is most controversial. Labor's promised to increase early educators' pay by 20% over 10 years to the tune of $9.9 billion, fully funded by the taxpayer. But it hasn't yet figured out how it will do it.
We're going to work those details out, the mechanism to deliver it, but the principles here that we'll start with as part of the negotiation is to make sure that we deliver 100% of this pay increase to those early educators because they deserve it, and also, importantly, make sure parents are not out of pocket as a result.
It is up to the market to make sure that wages increase because any other method will cause a distortion. So far they haven't been able to explain how it would work, and I think that should raise a big question mark when it comes to their policy.
There's also warnings about the unintended consequences of the policy.
Policies where governments directly try to set prices don't work and have tended to fail historically. What if workers from aged care now decide to leave aged care and they all flood into childcare? because childcare workers are paid more and aged care workers are paid less.
In Australia, 2/3 of long daycare providers are for-profit companies. The largest, G8, which owns more than 500 centres, posted a $72 million profit last year. Other major for-profit providers are listed companies or are part or fully owned by private equity funds. It's these companies that stand to gain the most from Labor's subsidy scheme.
If it's just money going to firms and we ask firms to raise the wages of workers, there are really no other pressures in the economy that would make the firms have to pay workers higher wages. In that case, I think the money would just be a handout and go into the pocket of the firms.
Childcare workers are some of the lowest paid in the country, which is borne out in their attrition rates. 38% of qualified educators leave the industry within 3 years.
Cert 3 educators could earn maybe $23 an hour. How are they supposed to get a mortgage, live a life, have good holidays, which they need, on that much an hour? We're educators, we're doctors, we're counsellors, and our advice and what we do, it means something. It should be appreciated and respected.
While all sides of politics agree childcare workers deserve better pay, there are stark ideological differences about how that should happen. Labor's policy also raises other questions, like who'll pay the state-levied payroll tax some small operators could become liable for because of increased wages. The political reality is, for working families like the Egans, the macroeconomics are not top of mind.
We're starting to look into, okay, well, what's going to benefit our family, regardless of what our political beliefs are. It's going to get ya! It's about, our family, what's going to benefit, what our children are going to benefit from in the future.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.